Okay.
Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Carolyn Talks. I am your host, Carolyn Hines, film critic and journalist. This is the podcast / YouTube channel where I speak to film creators about their work in the industry and what inspires them. And today I am joined by director Okita to talk about his film, The Fishtail, which I watched and I really enjoyed.
彼女が自己紹介とポッドキャストの自己紹介されて、沖さんが今日いらっしゃってますので、映画を拝見したんですけれども、とても素晴らしいと思いました。
ありがとうございます。Thank you.
Usually I like to start on my interviews by asking my guests to say a bit about what got them into their craft. So for you, I'd like you to tell me a bit about what got you into filmmaking. I know you started out doing short films and you progressed into doing feature-length films like The Fishtail. So what got you into filmmaking first and why short films first?
いつも私がインタビューする人にはどうしてなんかそれをやり始めたかって聞いてますので、沖田監督にもどうして、映画監督になることになったのか、最初に短編を撮ってるっていうのは存じ上げてるんですけれども、どういうふうに監督になっていったかっていうのを教えていただけないでしょうか。
偶然この映画の脚本を一緒に書いてる前田史郎というか人と中学生からの同級生で、一緒にスキーに中学生の時スキーに行ったんですけど、雨がすごい降っちゃってスキーできなかったんです。それでたまたまビデオカメラを持ってきてたんで、それで何か映画みたいな遊びで何か撮ろうって言って、友達と遊びでビデオカメラで撮ったのが楽しくて、自分でも何か撮れるんじゃないかと思ってビデオカメラでみんなで遊び始めたのがきっかけで、それでだんだん脚本書いたり音楽入れたり編集したりして映画の形になっていって、それで今自分もこうやって仕事をするようになって、だんだんプロフェッショナルにどんどんこう なっていきました。
So the script writer of The Fishtail, Shiro Maeda, he's actually my classmate from junior high school. I went skiing with him when I was in school, and but it rained. So we're like, what do we do? Oh, we have this video camera. Maybe we can start filming something. So I was just like having fun, filming stuff, making video, and then with friends, like I started to write a script, and I put music and I did editing. So I kind of slowly started to make film for fun, and then eventually became like my profession.
So you fell into filmmaking. That wasn't something you started out doing intentionally. So when did it change from becoming fun for you to becoming a profession? Because you went to school to be a filmmaker, so when did you decide this is what I want to be as a profession and as a career instead of just something fun to do as a hobby?
ということは本当に楽しいっていうところから始めたと思うんですけれども、でも映画の学校にも行ってらっしゃいますよね。なのでいつから楽しいっていうところから、本当に仕事をキャリアとしてっていう映画作りを始めるようになったんでしょうか。
そうですね、なんだろうな、大学でなんか映画に関わる仕事がしたいなとは思っていて、ただ何の仕事をしていいか分からなくて、で脚本を書くのが楽しかったんで、脚本を卒業してから書いていて、でそれをじゃあなんか手軽に撮れる題材があればそれを自分たちだけで撮っていって、それがなんだろうな、作品という風な形になっていって、それを見た人からいろんな批評を受けて、でまた今度こんなことやってみようとかっていう風にこう撮ると見てもらうを繰り返して、そうすると周りがだんだんお金を出してくれたりするようになってきて、それが仕事になっていきました。
So I went to university and then I was but I didn't really know what I wanted to do in the film industry. But I liked the script. I liked writing script, and with people around me, like whenever there is a subject matter I wanted to make, I made something, and then people who watched my stuff would told me, oh, like this should be that and then that. like kind of like criticize my film. So I kept repeating what that like I make something and then get someone to watch it and people tell me what to do, and eventually people around me started to invest into my film.
Okay, so we're gonna start talking about the fishtail now, but I think the fishtail is, from what I've read, very similar to films that you've done before, where you focus on what would be considered oddball characters or people who don't fit into society's idea of normal. So what is it about first making stories about the outsiders or people who are looked on as being weird that drew you into writing stories about these kind of characters? Because I believe beginning from your first feature film, it's like talks about people who are obsessive about one thing. Like your first film was about a cook who created meals for camping staff on like a mountain, and now you have and then it was an artist who decided late in life to become an artist, and now for the fishtail it's based on Sakana-Kun, who is a marine biologist who focuses, his obsession is fish.
次はじゃあ、フィッシュテールの話に今後ちょっと焦点を当てていきたいと思うんですけれども、監督の作品はいつもちょっとこう風変わりなキャラクターとか、こう社会に馴染めないような人とか、アウトサイダーがよく主人公になっていると思います。で、何かにこう好きなことがあって集中しているような人が多いと思うんですね。で、例えばその一番最初の映画の南極料理にはこう料理がなんかすごい好きな人で、例えば森のいる場所だったら絵が好きな人で、さかなクンは本当に魚の好きな人だと思うんですけれども、どうしてこういうキャラクターにいつも焦点を当てるんでしょうか？
どうして難しい。でも僕自身がそういう人に憧れたりしている部分ももちろんあるし、そういう人がなんか起こすこう笑いというかコメディ楽しい部分がを映画にするのが好きなのかもしれないです。
It's a bit of a difficult question, but actually, like I envy those people who are obsessive, and I kind of want to make a comedy, kind of funny movie out of those elements.
What is it about them that you're envious of?
どういうところがこういう人たちに憧れるんですか？こう羨ましいと思うっていうか。
魚の子だったらもうずっと好きでいるっていうか、ずっと好きでい続けるっていうことがテーマなんですけど、やっぱ僕なんかもなんかすごい好きになるけど、なんかこう右往左往するっていうか、なんかちょっとなんていうんだろう、自分じゃ考えられないような森のいる場所だったら30年家から出てないとか、なんかそういう人のなんかどうしてなんだろうみたいな興味がすごいあって、あまりにも自分と違うからやっぱりそういう部分がこうもう笑ってしまうというか、だからなんかそういう笑いながらすごくでも愛情なんか深くその人を見てしまうという気持ちです。わかるかな
？So for the fishtail, the theme of this movie is like continue to like something forever. Because for me, I like something, but like I may, kind of go around, not like always straight. For example, Mori no Iru Basho, it's about artists who never left home for like 30 years. And I was like, why? And I'm very curious about those people because they are very different from me, but also kind of like, they're funny. So like I want to portray them with kind of like, love.
It's funny that you say that they are, I guess they have a single-minded focus, whereas you kind of go around. Is it one of the things that you envy, is it that they knew what they wanted to be once they made that decision? They stuck with it. Whereas like you said at the beginning, you weren't sure what you wanted to be before you decided to be a filmmaker. You went into school, but you still weren't sure. Is it that you envy their dedication and single-minded focus to making a decision? I can myself relate to that because I didn't start out to be a film critic or a journalist. I went to school I actually wanted to be a marine biologist years ago. When I was younger, I was actually pursuing marine biology, and then I wanted to be a nurse, and then I got a diploma in paralegal studies. Now I'm a film critic, so like I understand what you mean about envious, because they made a decision. So is that what you envy about them, that focus?
監督がその羨ましいと思うのは、そういう人たちが一つのことに本当にこうずっと集中できるからっていうしょうか。例えば、監督は最初は映画監督になるか分からなかったし、何がしたいか分からなかったっていうふうにおっしゃっていました。で、私自身もさかなクンみたいにこう海洋生物学者に子供の時はなりたいと思ってたし、その後は看護婦になりたいと思ってたし、で学校もなんか違うことを勉強したけれども、今は映画のクリティックになっていて、本当にこうなんかいろんな右往左往しながらこういうふうに人生が来てるんですけれども、本当に私自身もこう何か一つに集中してる人が羨ましいって思うので、監督も同じ気持ちでしょうか。
そうですね。そうですね。でもそういう人はそういう人でとっても大変だと思うんです。器用じゃないから器用じゃない生き方をしていくと思うんで、そういう意味では多分さかなクンもそうですけど、多分いろんな人が周りがさかなクンを助けてくれて、今のさかなクンのようなその生き方があるんじゃないかと映画でもと僕も思うんですね。だから簡単じゃないから、それがすごくこうなんていうんですかね、僕らもこうそういうふうにそのなんか助けてあげないといけないというか助けてあげない、どうだろう分かんないな。でもなんかそういう思いももちろんありますね。大丈夫ですかね。
Yeah, but I understand those people probably their life can be hard because they're a little bit clumsy, but like people around them or help them. So Sakana-kun, can live as he is because people around him are helping him as well. I just don't think it's easy for them to live, and I feel like I should also help those kind of people.
I think that's great, because that's one of the things that I really enjoyed about the film, where for the character of Mibo, who is based on Sakana-kun, everyone around her is very supportive. Even the kids that started out teasing her at the beginning weren't teasing her to be mean. It was just kind of like children like using words and not understanding the meaning of them, so they teased her. But as she grew older, she had like her constant support from mother of her Okita, and then like her friends, the two gangs the two gangs where you would think they would tease her or mistreat her because she's different, they ended up being her friends, and they ended up supporting her even into adulthood and helping lead her to her profession. So I really enjoyed that aspect of the film, where it's a lesson about accepting people as they are, and not, what's the word I'm looking for, and not making them feel different for being different.
確かにこの映画ですごく私が楽しいと思ったのはミーボーを周りの人がすごく支えているということです。例えば最初の方に彼女をからかっていた子どもたちも大人になってなんかその不良になるんだけれども友人になって支えたりとか、お母さんはずっとミーボーのことを支えてきたりとか、なのでこの映画から学べたレッスンはどういう人でもこう受け入れてあげて、その違うっていうところをこうなんかバカにしないっていうところだと思いました。
なんかみんな実際もそうなんですけど、さかなクンがミーボーがですけど、ミーボーが魚を好きだっていう気持ちを意外とみんなリスペクトしていて認めてたりしていて、そこが面白いなと思いました。みんななんか影響を受けて知らず知らずにミーボーが魚を好きなのをついついこう壊しちゃいけないって思ってしまうところがなんか面白いなと思いました。
Mibo really likes fish, and the people around Mibo respect the fact that Mibo likes fish. And that's what I think it's interesting, because people around her gets influenced, and they don't want, to break the fact that she likes fish so much.
Yeah, they respect her knowledge. They respect that she knows so much about fish and about marine life, and I think her childlike attitude makes them feel welcome, because she's doing it out of a pure love of fish, out of a pure love of marine biology, and she's not even trying to share it, but it's just that people just gravitate towards her because of her I think her personality and that love of the knowledge.
すごく彼女にいろんな知識があるっていうところを尊敬しているのだと思います。で、そういう彼女の態度っていうのもみんな歓迎していて、本当に魚に対する愛とか、あとすごくいろんな知識があるっていうところにみんな惹かれているのじゃないかなと思いました。
でもそうですね、僕もさっき羨ましいって言ったのと同じで、僕もひよや桃子みたいな周りの人の一人みたいな気がします。お母さんもそうか。
Yes, as I said before, I envy her because I feel like people like her mom or her friends like Momoko or Hio who are kind of supporting her.
Yes, everyone doesn't have this support system that she has, because like there are parents who will tell children what they want them to be. There will be friends who don't understand the profession or even her love of fish. There are people who wouldn't understand, but everyone around Mibo is very loving and supportive, which is unfortunately very rare.
本当にそういうケースは周りの人がサポートしてくるっていうのはなかなかないかもしれないですね。通常結構親は子供にこうしろあしろとかこういう風になってほしいって言うんですけれども、彼女の場合は本当に周りの人がすごくサポートしてるので、
でもたくさんの人がそうやってなんていうんですかね、いわゆる普通みたいな枠に押し込められて、そういう風になんかさかなクンみたいに何かをずっと好きで居続けられるられなくなってたり、まともな社会的にもうまく生きていけなかったりする人の方が多かったりするのかもしれなくて、そういう面でもこういうそれを大事にする社会だったらいいなって思って、そういう気持ちもちょっとあります。
Yeah, that's true because I think a lot of people who kind of have to be normal, like they're expected to be normal. So not so many people can live like Sakana-Kun because for those people maybe it's hard, society can be hard. So I want the society to be kind of respectful and cherish that kind of people.
Yeah, that's watching your film and the way you filmed it and the techniques that you use. I think it was really effective to ground the film in the childlike energy that Sakana-Kun has in real life, because I watched some of his YouTube videos from his Fish Guy channel, and first thing first, Non did a phenomenal job capturing his energy and his personality. So I first have to say that she did a fantastic job playing Sakana-Kun, playing Mibo. I was very impressed about that.
さかなクンを、YouTube で拝見したんですけれども、本当にすごい子供みたいなエネルギーにあふれていると思いました。で、ミボはそれをすごくうまく演じてられてるなと思いました。
はい、そうですね。日本ではさかなクンっていうのは本当に愛される、子供みたいなキャラで愛される存在で、それを何ですかね、男の人が演じてるすごくモノマネにはなるんですけど、ノンさんが演じると不思議とそれがノンさんがオリジナルでやってるように見えて、とてもいい実際のさかなクンとの離れ方があったと思います。
In Japan, Sakana-Kun is really big, loved, popular character. He's kind of childlike, but if Non-san plays his character, it kind of becomes original. That's what I like about it. Some kind of difference between her and Sakana-Kun.
Yeah, I watched it when I watched his videos. I watched some of his YouTube videos after I saw the film, and And so I was that's why their energy, like the childlike energy that she captures, and even the whole film has, I think, makes this film one that I think everyone can relate to and kind of wish they could be like Mibo, you know, that they could live life on their own terms, the way that Mibo does and the way that Sakana-Kun does.
これ映画見た後に本当にさかなクンの YouTube を見たんですけどそのなんか子供みたいなエネルギーっていうのをすごくノンさんがうまく演じられてるなと思っていて、確かに本当にそのエネルギーみたいなところはなんか羨ましいと思いました。
すごいですね。さかなクン、普通はさかなクンを見てからこの映画のミーボーですけど、ミーボーを見てからさかなクンを見ていてるって思うのは本当に面白いですね。
Usually Japanese people already know Sakana-Kun, so they watch the movie afterwards, but like it's your opposite case because you watch the movie first and then watch the Sakana-Kun after, and still find the similarity. That's kind of funny.
Yeah, I watched the videos because when I saw that Sakana-Kun is basically playing himself within the film, I was just like, that was very funny to me because the introduction of this strange fish man at the beginning of the film, I as an adult was thinking, creepy guy, what is happening? Stay away from these kids. But what I love about the film is that by the end, where we get the realization that Mibo is, well, for me, having watched the film before I watched the videos, like where I get the realization that Mibo is this person, is Sakana-Kun, and I was at the end, the scene where she's leading the kids at the end, that wasn't creepy. I actually got emotional. So I love how, like, for me, having no idea who Sakana-Kun was at the beginning, grew to, in a way, care for this person, both the character of Mibo, but also the person, Sakana-Kun. And I think your film does a fantastic job of what's the word? I don't want to use humanizing. I think your film does a really good job of helping people to see Sakana-Kun just as this person who just loves what they do. You know, like, he's not, if I was to see him on the streets calling kids now to follow him, I wouldn't be scared as I would at the beginning of the film. But I think your job does a fantastic job of helping people to really see him as a person, you know, and not just some stranger.
最初にさかなクンが映画の中で出てきた時に、私はさかなクンのことを知らなかったから、本当になんか変な気持ち悪い人かと思って本当なんか子供から離れてほしいって思いました。だけど後でミーボーがさかなクンだっていうことに気づいた時にちょっとエモーショナルになりました。でさかなクンのことは知らなかったんだけれども、監督の映画はすごくさかなクンを、好きなことをやっている、人として見ている、そういうふうになんか観客が見れるようにしていると思いました。
そうですね。でもさかなクン漁業医さんという人は何かが猛烈に好きになったけどうまく社会で生きていけなかったり生きづらいさを象徴しているような人で、それが今のさかなクンが演じているところがすごく皮肉なキャスティングだというところがあると思います。
The guy that Sakana-Kun plays in the movie, he's actually like a symbol of someone who couldn't really live in a society, like who couldn't fit in. So it's a little bit of I was being cynical, cast him in that role.
Well, you were hesitant to cast Sakana-Kun to play that version of himself?
っていうことは漁業児さんをさかなクンに演じてもらうのはちょっとためらいがありましたか？
いやさかなクンしかいないと思いました。
No, I wasn't really hesitant because I thought that only Sakana-Kun could play that like that guy.
Yeah, very true.
さかなクンになれなかった人をさかなクンが演じてるのが面白いと。
I thought it was kind of funny that who couldn't be Sakana-Kun is played by Sakana-Kun.
So I wanted to talk. I just mentioned about being creeped out by Sakana-Kun where we see him going to Mibo Hio at in the beginning. Something that I thought was very interesting that you did where, and I don't know if this is based on real life, like his actual experience, but when young Meebo tells the dad that this weird fish guy wants her to come to his house to see his fishes. The dad is immediately, very rightfully, hesitant. He's wary because he's like, we don't know this strange man, we don't know him. And the mom doesn't question it. She trusts Meebo's judgment because she's like, if Meebo trusts him, then I trust him. So talk to me about that scene in particular, because I think that's the scene that will speak a lot to parents, where it's about, I think that scene speaks more about parents learning to trust their children's judgment, even though children can make very, very bad bad decisions.
最初のうちはなんかその漁業者見た時に気持ち悪いと思ったんですけれども、なんかその例えば映画の中で子供の未亡が、漁業者を家に連れてくるって言った時に、なんかお父さんはそんな知らない人をちょっとみたいな感じで、でお母さんは未亡が言うことだったら信じていいよっていう意味ですけれども、すごくそれはなんかこの両親のことを物語ってると思います。子供が何言ってもこうなんか信じてあげられるのかあげられないってかっていうところだと思うんですけれども。
Was his interpretation of that scene, because I saw it at the beginning of the film when it first happened. I agreed with the dad that the dad was right to be hesitant, but by the end of the film, I agreed with the mom because it's about her trusting Meebo's judgment, because that's one thing that's consistent throughout the film. She always trusts Meebo's decisions. She trusts that Meebo knows what's right for her and that everything will work out for her at the end.
ああいうシーンは本当にさかなクンになんか起きたことをベースにしてるんでしょうか。であのシーンの監督の捉え方っていうのを教えてください。最初私はなんかお父さんに同意してたんですけども、最終的には未亡のことを信じるお母さんの方に同意できました。
いや実際に起きたかどうかは多分そんなことはない。映画のオリジナルなので映画だけのストーリーですけど、描きたかったのは多分親子お母さんについてで、ミーボーのお母さんがとてもそのミーボーがやることをすごく肯定していて、少しなんか明るくて少しなんかさかなクンが少し人と違うっていうようなことを許容していくお母さんっていうのが素敵だと思って、今時代の日本なんか少し人と違うとやっぱりそれが問題になったりするような、なんかそういう世の中だったんじゃないかなって僕も思ってて、だからそういうお母さんは貴重だなっていう、すごく珍しいけどでもすごくいいお母さんだと思ってそれを映画にしたかったです。
So that scene is just like a film originally in the movie, but what I wanted to portray through that scene is that mother like basically accepting Meebo all the time. She's very like cheerful and like accepting, and even though Sakana-Kun was different from other people, she understood him and then really being accepting, because at that time probably like it was more than now that it was kind of hard to be different from other people.
お父さんは何も変なこと言ってなくて、お父さんこそ普通なんだと思うんです。だけどそれがなんか面白いなと思う。お母さんの方がむしろ際立ってしまうというか。
And then I think in a scene like that, what dad says is kind of normal, and then like maybe mom is like maybe a little bit strange, or, like kind of rare, but I think she's a really good mother.
She is. She's a fantastic mother. Both of them were right in that situation. So I really understood both perspectives, especially by the end of the film.
本当に両方言ってることは正しいと思うんですけれども、なんかもうお母さんも本当に素晴らしいお母さんだと思います。特になんか最後の方になってくるとだんだんその良さっていうのが分かってくると思います。
So I want to talk about casting Non now to play Meebo. What was the reasoning behind having a female an actress play the character of Meebo, who's based on Sakana-Kun, who's a man? So what was the reason with going for a female actress rather than a male actor?
ノンさんをキャストしたことについてなぜか伺いたいです。女性がミボの役を演じたっていうのは、なぜか知りたくて、どうしてかというと、ミボ自体はさかなクンがベースなんですけども、さかなクンは男性ですよね。どうして女優さんを選んだんでしょうか。
さかなクンのモデルにした映画で何をやりたいかっていうと、何かを猛烈に好きになった人の映画をやりたくて、 それがミーボーっていうキャラクターでさかなクンであってさかなクンではないというか、だからそういう気持ちを描くのに男と女がそこまで重要ではなかったし、なんならそのさかなクン自身もそのあまり性別にの匂いがしないというか、なんかそういう気がしたんで、ノンさんというどっちでもよかったんですけど、でもノンさんっていう人がそのさかなクンとちょっと精神的に絵を描いたり音楽やったりなんとなく似てたような気がして、だからノンさんという人がさかなクンをやる映画がすごくワクワクしたので、女性でもいいんじゃないかと思いました。
So what I wanted to do with this movie about Sakana-Kun is like it's basically a film about someone who really loved something. So it's about like Mibo, and then the character of Sakana-Kun in this film is like not the same as the actual Sakana-Kun, and so that's why like whether if it's like a male or female wasn't really important to me, and then also like I think Sakana-Kun is a little bit like kind of genderless person, and then so as Non. And then like Non and then Sakana-kun, they both like to draw and they both like music, so I saw they're kind of like mentally similar.
Yeah, I kind of read Mibo as being non-binary, and a lot of that has to do with she has no interest in romantic relationships, and I don't think she has any interest in any kind of relationships beyond what her interest in fish. It's just that the friendships that she develops kind of just happen to her, and the people that stay by her side, her friends, they make the effort to stay her friends. While she's wouldn't necessarily be affected very severely if they drift in and out. She's just like, I'm just here, and she's like gravity. People just gravitate towards Mibo.
私がなんか読んだのはこのミボのキャラクターはなんか性別がないキャラクターだっていうふうに思いました。で、彼女はそのなんか男女関係とかそういうロマンスとかにはあまり興味がなくて、友情はあるんですけれども本当に彼女が好きなのは魚だけ、だからその彼女の周りの人がなんか近づいてこようが離れようが、彼女はそんなに気にしてないと思いました。
ああ、そう、そのつもり、その気持ちで映画を作りました。だから親が少しお父さんとお母さんに離れて別居したり、なんだろうな、彼に起きること、ミボに起きることが魚が好きっていうこと以外はそんなに大きなことではないという描き方をしようと思いました。
Yes, I think your interpretation is correct. That's how I wanted to make this movie. Even though, like Mibo's parents like live separately, and whatever happened to Mibo, only Mibo cares is about like fish, and then she doesn't really care about it.
Exactly. She'd be like, if someone was here today, she'll be fine. But if they're not there tomorrow, she'll be like, okay, I still go look after my fish.
確かにお母さんがその日にいたらいるって思うんだけども別になくてもそんなに気にせずなんか魚だけを気にしてそうだと思いました。
そうですね。
The fish are the one constant in her life. No matter what happens, fish are there.
彼女の人生にとってもう本当魚だけがこうなんか人生のなんか重要なところでことで、魚さえあればいいみたいな。
はい。でもなんか後半家族ができそうになって、そのアイデンティティがちょっとこうなんかなくなるようなことがあった時に、やっぱりそれが周りは良くないことのような気がして去ってしまうことがあって、だからなんかそうですね、そういうことも大人になってあんまり大人にこうならないでいてほしいみたいなところがあるんじゃないかなと思って、みんながそうですね、そういう気持ちはあると思いました。
大人にならないでほしいというのは監督の
周りがですね。
So yeah, like when she starts to like kind of lose identity, the people surrounding her is like, oh, it's not good, and I think people around her kind of wish that she doesn't become adult.
Yeah, she stays childlike. Something I thought just occurred to my head. For people like Mibo or even Sakana-Kun, and those that would be considered neurodivergent now, that's the vocabulary we would use now. I think for like Mibo as a kind of other people, they are where things like animals or art, you know, like fish are like they have their set behaviors. You can predict what a fish will do because all fish of a specific breed will behave the same way. Sharks behave like shark. Butterfly fish would behave like butterfly fish. So like there's a consistency there and they can trust that. Whereas for human beings, we are ever evolving, we're ever changing, you know, we are unpredictable. And there's and I think for a lot of people, especially for those who quote, I don't like using the word normal, but those who like that, like people tend to mistrust we mistrust each other because we can't guarantee what the result will be, what the reaction will be. Whereas I think like what you were saying earlier, like the thought occurred to me, I kind of envy Mibo as a kind of because they know what they can trust in, you know, like for your previous characters, the artist, he knows that he can trust in art. For the one who was a cook, he can trust in cooking, you know, because he knows how food behaves when he cooks and prepares it. So that thought just occurred to me while you were speaking. Yeah.
今ちょっとその監督の話を聞いて私の頭の中に浮かんだ、考えなんですけれども、例えばなんか動物ある種の魚はもうこういう行動をしますみたいなものが全ての動物になると思うんですけども、人間は本当になんか変わるし逆に予測もつかないことをしたりするので、結構普通の人はもしかしたらお互いをそんなに信じてないのかもしれないです、だけれども、ミーボーは本当になんか自分の信じるものを持っていて、で監督の他の映画でなんか例えば森はアートを信じているし、南極料理人のキャラクターは料理を信じているっていうのが今ちょっと思い浮かびました。
そうですね。そうか。なんかでもミーボーが魚は好きだけどそんなにこう人に対して疑いたい持ったりはしてないんでシンプルになんかそんなにこう嫌いでもないような気がしましたけどね、やってて。
In my movie, like Mibo likes fish, but she's also not really, doubting people. So I don't think she, doesn't like people.
Yeah, no,
it's not like she, she
hates
people. Yeah, she just like doesn't lie to
yeah, yeah. No, what I mean is like I don't think she doubts people or anything, but the thought just occurred to me in my head where sometimes where there are people who prefer like to focus on one thing because that's something they can trust, like. Using my because there are people that I knew like kids who would be considered neurodivergent, like they focus on something that they can trust, and like so the film it just occurred to me like I wish that we were all able to like relate to people the way that Mibo does, where like she doesn't have any mistrust, whereas like quote unquote normal people. We have to like learn how to navigate society because we don't know what people's motivations are. Whereas she just accepts people the way they are, the same way they accept her, she accepts people just the way they are.
私が言いたかったのはそのミーボーがなんかその人を疑ってるとかそういうわけではなくて、こう何か集中できるものがある、何かを一つをこうに集中できる人、子供もそうだと思うんですけれども、私たちはそういう人がいるっていうことをなんか理解できますし、でもただなんか普通の人、よく言う普通の人っていうのはなんかこう社会に馴染まないといけないみたいなのがあるんだけれども、ミーボーはそうじゃなくて本当にもうその人がそうだったらそれでいいみたいな、そういうことなのかなと思います。
そうですね、はい、なんかそうですね、別になんかなんだろう、別にそれいいことであれかな、その通りだと思います。
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah, I wish I could be like Mibo.
みたいになりたいです。
I wish. So there's another conversation that happens in the film. Like I just mentioned the word normal in quotation marks, and it's I think it has a lot to do with a lot of discussions that are happening now, especially on like social media. And I'm not sure about how it is in Japan, but especially in like North America, where it talks about the acceptance of people who are neurodivergent, people who are non-binary, people who don't conscribe to society's idea of normal. And there's the discussion between Momo and Mibo, where Momo says, "Oh, we're like the same. We're not normal." And Mibo says, "What is normal?" To her there is no definition of what normal is. And for me, I always say normal is relative, because what's the norm for me isn't the norm for other people. My norm is getting up and watching K-dramas every day, but that's not normal for everyone. You know, my job is to watch films for a living, but that's not normal for other people. That's not their norm. So I want to ask you about your idea of norm and normal, and if you think, like, for your film, I think that's one of the beautiful things about your film is like saying, like, stop trying to confine people into society, into these defined roles and these defined ideas of how people should behave. You know, so we need to talk a bit about that and the idea of normal and how your film addresses it without making it very obvious.
まあ北米では最近その普通っていうとカテゴリー人を押し込めずに、まあ、多様性とかっていうところ、あとまあなんかいろんな人流れとかっていうところを、まあ許容していこうっていう風になってるんですけれども、映画の中でもこう、モモとミーボーの会話でなんか普通って何ってミーボーが聞くんですね。で確かにその普通っていうのは全然人によると思います。でなんか私の中の普通は例えばいつもなんかドラマを見てから寝る、それが自分で普通なんだけども他の人にとってはそれが普通じゃない。なんかその監督にとってまず普通って何ですか？何と思いますか？
ですかね、気持ちよくなんか生きていくだけのことな気がしますけど、自由にそうですね、習慣とかそうだな、なんかやっぱり自分が一番気持ちよく生きていける方法を探すなんかそれで生きていくっていうようなことが普通になるといいなと思いますけど、なんか昔なんか今そういう感じ世界的にもそうなんですかね、わかんないですけど、そういう風な社会がこうの中で子どもたちがなんか育ったりするといいなって僕は思ったりして、はい、昔子供の時はミーボーの子供時みたいにやっぱり普通なんかその人と違うみたいなことがすごく神経質だったりしてたと思うんで、そう思いました。
I guess what's normal like can be like just live freely, like to be comfortable. Maybe it's like can be a custom because back then, just being different from the society was like not normal. But like nowadays, society can be more accepting, and I hope it becomes. Our society becomes like that.
Absolutely. We're gonna wrap up now. People go for it. I'm so happy. One final question for you. What have you learned about yourself as a filmmaker, and perhaps about your outlook on life after having done Fishtail? Because this film was released in last year, so it's over a year now. What have you learned about yourself as a filmmaker in a year, and like what has changed about the way you see society in the past year?
この映画が終わってから1年間ぐらい経ってると思うんですけれども、その1年の間になんか監督として学んだことはありますか？
学んだこと、
はい、
なんでしょう魚にやたら詳しくなりました
I learned a lot about fish. I have one knowledge about fish.
水族館に行ってもみんな知ってる
When he goes to aquarium, he can tell the names of the fish.
So you can identify the fish. Can you name the fish? The fish. Well, that's the thing about, I think, filmmaking. For a lot of people, always ask like actors what they learned during filming. They ask the audience what they learned from the films. But I'm always interested to ask directors what they learned from their own projects, because in the process of like reading the script and deciding you want to make a film and all the steps in production, you learn new things about how to film a film where like fish are the center. You have to learn how to work around fish tanks, about protecting the filming of these fish, and of course not having a real life octopus, but you learn different things about the filmmaking industry that you didn't know before. So I'm always interested to learn what filmmakers they themselves learn from their own works.
結構みんな例えば俳優さんとか監督にはなんかその映画を通じて何を学びましたかみたいな質問をするんですけれども、監督もなんかどうやってその自分が作った映画から何を学んだかっていうのにいつも興味があります。
ああ、そうですか。そうですね。いやどうでしょう。なんかもうちょっとなんかなんかそうですね、さかなクンみたいに生きれたらいいな、なんか好きなもの好きって言いながら元気に生きれたらいいなって思って、はい、なんか僕は、意外となんか、暗いんでなんか明るく生きたらいい、もうちょっとさかなクンみたいに明るく生きたいなって思って、それが学びですかね。分かんないけど、
技術的なことは別に
技術的なこと
分かんない。まあでもそれで一回ちょっと答えますね。So yeah, like I guess like I really, what I learned is like you kind of wish I can live like Sakana-Kun, like always kind of like powerful, energetic and cheerful, because I can be opposite from
そんなことなんかちょっと分かんないですね。技術的なことはちょっと
特に
なんでしょう、そういうのってどういうことだろう。
なんかまあ、毎回映画で作るたびになんか新しい発見があったりとか。
ああ、そうですね。魚子供とか魚とかなかなかコントロールの効かないものを今回は扱ったんで、そういうシーンが多かったんで、できるだけなんかなんていうんですかね、そういうことを撮るときに難しくしないというか、そういうようなことをなんか撮りながら思って、はい、簡単な言葉で、はい、いろいろ周りと会話しながらやることの大事さを学んだような気がします。はい。
And then also maybe something for what I learned from this film is like I had to film a lot of like kids and fish, which are very uncontrollable. So like what I learned, it was like when I filmed those kind of scenes, I had to make it simple, like don't make it difficult. So I had to use more like simple words, and that's what I learned and made it. Like I thought it was kind of important.
Yes, learn how to be as adaptable as kids are.
まあ子供みたいにこう適応能力があるということですね。
そうですか。そんなわかんないけど、はい、そうです。
Yes. Hi, thank you so much for speaking with me, Director Okita. This was a great interview. I really enjoyed your answers.
Yeah, thank you.
すごくいいインタビューでした。答えがすごくとても楽しかったです。
ありがとうございます。Thank you.
Thank you. And I hope I didn't make them too complicated, my questions.
もしかしたら質問がちょっと難しかったかもしれないですけど、そうじゃなかったらいいと思います。
はい、ありがとうございます。いや、そんなことないです。
いや、it was okay. It was not complicated.